Let's try that again, sweet peas.
You are listening to Breakfast with Tiffany with your host,
Tyffanie Morgan. That's me, sweet peas. That's me. Down. Down. Well, hello, my little sweet peas, my little love muffins from all around the big blue world. This is your hostess, Miss Tyffanie Morgan, calling to you live from Kingston, Ontario, Canada, the home of limestone and the home to me, Miss Tyffanie Morgan. Let's try that again. Welcome to Breakfast with Tiffany. I forgot to hit the record button. So, hello, sweet peas. Welcome. Today is June the something or other. I think it's the 3rd. Yeah, it's the 3rd. It is Pride Month here in Kingston. It's noon on Eastern Standard Time. And I, Miss Tyffanie Morgan, am being broadcast to you on T-Show's Facebook page, on Tyffanie Morgan's Facebook profile page. I'm also being broadcast to Twitch, which I created an account on Twitch. And I'm also being broadcast on YouTube live as well, which is like really weird. I'm just going to click on that to see. Oh, look at that. It's actually working. I have the power. I am now coming at you from many different angles, many different resources here. Let's see if there's some chat going on here. So I'm I'm kind of playing around with a service here that I have that should hopefully bring in all the different kind of chats and stuff like that coming in here. Although now that I look at Facebook, there's some chat on there, and I'm not seeing it in the chat thing. Oh, well, not everything is perfect. Sometimes things get a little broken. But yeah, Tiffany TV. So yeah, it's on Tiffany.com too. There's embedments on there and on dragshow.ca as well. So this is freaking cool. This is freaking cool. Anyway. Type a message. Yeah, let's see how that works. So yeah, my name is Miss Tyffanie Morgan, coming to you from the home of limestone, city of Kingston, Ontario, Canada, where I want to take a little moment and recognize in solidarity Black lives here in Canada and around the world. Black lives do matter, sweet peas. There's a disproportionate amount of Black lives that are lost every year, and it's not just in the States, because a lot of people think that too. There is definitely lives lost here in Canada as well, and there's definitely discrimination in all its forms, racism in all its forms. So that does include. So I'm going to turn the microphone up here. That does include, for instance, there's lots of evidence about carding and wrongful kind of stopping of Black people, especially young Black men, in the streets of many of our Canadian cities and whatnot. So it's important that we recognize that, this has got to stop. This has got to stop, sweet peas. We need to have our voices heard. And for that, I did attend. Although I was working till 5, I went up to Skeleton Park yesterday because there was a Black Lives Matter solidarity vigil, and I apologize. It was very late. It was very late in the game, and I didn't necessarily get to experience it, but I did get there. So yeah. Yeah, it was really nice to see how many people were there. Like, there was so many people there. The news media said that there was about, 800, they said? It was about 800 people. I don't know, it felt like 1,000 people. I was on the peripheral. I was really on the edge of the park, and the whole park was basically filled up because everyone was trying to was still trying to adhere to the social distancing. The organizers, that was something that I was really proud of to see. The organizers had what it was, they had marked on the ground like radiuses of like 6 feet 2 meters sort of thing, right? So that people can be on the radii, and that was really good. That was really good. So if you missed it, there are videos on Global. There's some videos as well on Facebook, and yeah, I hope you you know show your support in whatever way that may be. It could just be like supporting online, or just even maybe mentioning it too. Racism is not welcome here. Racism is not welcome here. Yeah. Sorry. I'm starting with that. I'm starting with that. What other things that we need to do? Oh, look, people are finally joining in on Facebook. Ooh, I'm getting notifications here. Welcome, welcome. There we go. So there's a few things going on in my world, and I'm sure there's a few things going on in your world. Oh, Keith was there last night too. Yeah. So going on in my life, so I attended the tail end of that last night. It was also nice to see that Kingstonians are really switching on to the face masks, for the COVID-19. It's a really awesome thing, seeing so many people with face masks. Although the walking on sidewalks thing, I'm still a little nervous, still a little like squirrely about. Because when I was walking up to the park, there was a lot of people walking away from the park. And people were on both sides in large groups walking away. So I couldn't do the, go to the other side of the street sort of thing. Yeah. Because that tends to be what you do in Kingston, is like, oh, one side, for the social distancing. So if they have the social distancing, then, blah, blah, blah. I know there's no video. It's just an audio sort of thing there, dear. Someone's messaging me. They're like, what's going on? There's no video. Yeah, dear. I'm sorry. I just do the on Wednesdays. I just do the audio sort of thing. Yeah. So neighbors. At least like if we're all going to leave somewhere, at least stay on one side of the street. That's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, there was a lot of people with masks on. Yeah. But yeah, it was a good event. It was a good event. And speaking of which, there's other events going to be happening in town, and I'll get more about that later on. But I wanted to mention a story that that's unrelated to Black Lives Matter. We're kind of changing topics here. I'm going back to, more local kind of news. A neighbor, someone on Raglan Road, which is in downtown Kingston, went into their backyard, doing some gardening, probably making, like a little garden patch, because what do you do during COVID isolation but garden? You make gardens. So they ended up digging out. What do you think they dug out? They dug out a mortar shell. A mortar shell. Mortar shell. Like artillery sort of thing, Like a big old bullet that goes into a mortar, and it was live. Or at least it looked like it was live. And this is the really funny thing. That neighbor put it into the back of their trunk, and drove it to the city of Kingston police. One of my exes, yes. They drove it to the city of Kingston police, who then immediately called the forces, evacuated the building, called the forces too, because this is a freaking mortar shell, unexploded mortar shell. Like, wow. You hear about this on the news for people who were in war-torn areas, or people digging in the backyard in London, unexploded shells from the massive bombings and stuff like that. But when did we have mortar shells here in downtown Kingston? Dug up one of my... Oh, Trudy. You thought they were digging up one of your exes. No, they haven't found the bodies yet, dear. They haven't found those bodies yet. But can you imagine? I can't, yesterday I'm watching all the news about Black Lives Matter, and then here comes this, and it got me thinking, I'm like, City Kingston. Basically, the news article from the City of Kingston was, if you find a mortar shell, please do not take it to the City of Kingston Police Department. And it was just plain and simple like that. If you find a mortar shell, don't bring it to the City of Kingston Police. And I'm like, really? That's so very helpful. That's so freaking helpful. I appreciate that work. What? Am I supposed to expect mortar shells in my backyard? Was this at a testing zone? Where, I know we're a military town, but what the hell? I thought I'd find cannonballs. In my backyard, which are totally safe, metallic, and very heavy and stuff like that. But wow. Come on now, City of Kingston. Let's calm down the locals, shall we? Ooh. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so Keith is like, the Princess of Wales Regiment is nearby. I believe part of this lands, over 150 years ago, were part of it too, but that doesn't explain the mortar shells. I don't really understand. I don't understand. Ooh, scary. I'm just thinking about it. But not as scary as if I was a black man, walking around in the U.S., at least at this point, taking my life into my own hands, just walking on the streets. So something has got to change about that. Black Lives Matter. So, where are we in the program here? Oh, 15 minutes in. My gosh, I can really go on a diatribe, can't I? Let's talk about, or at least let's get some photos here of the garden. It's Tiffany's garden. So right now, I'm showing some photos of the garden. Things are getting really, really, really lush in the garden. Hashtag Tiff's Garden. Things are getting really lush. So the hostas are doing really well. I'm really surprised by the bleeding hearts. So as some of you may have experienced, this season has been all over the board. We were freezing frigid cold, and then suddenly we started getting warm, and then suddenly a heat wave. So the bleeding hearts, is it Dicentra? Is that the Latin name? I think it's Dicentra. So the bleeding hearts, they would normally have been in full bloom weeks ago, but during that heat wave, they just stalled. They completely stalled and said, nope, not doing it. Nope, not doing it. So now they are, now they're in full bloom. They should have been in full bloom earlier. Some of these photos, for some reason, whenever I upload them to this thing, are all sideways. I don't know why. Anyway, The Solomon seal is really just taking off. I had one little plant of that, and now it's like last year, and now it's a huge clump. There's these little flowers. I think they're little geraniums. Um, Madeline Ashton. Oh, okay. Yeah, the armory's not far away. Sorry, I'm going back to the chat here. Yeah, the armory's not far away, but like, why would they dump unused? Like, that just confuses me. So there's these little flowers, and I think they're little geraniums. Someone will have to tell me because I don't know what they are. They are wild. They just came with the carton. The alliums are doing well. Of course, they're on a sideways kind of. You gotta turn your head there. There's this. I inherited this lovely little bush with white flowers that bloom every spring, with the ferns there, and that's quite lovely. I have chose to keep that shrub. The hostas are doing those ferns. I swear they're taller than what they normally are. They are like really up to my breast, basically. Um, I'm sure they'll flop down by the end of the season, but they are just upright and looking so beautiful and pretty. Oh, goodness sakes. Does anyone have, I'm just going to quickly throw it out there. Does anyone have any gardening questions or anything like that? Yes, no, maybe so. Anyway, I'll leave that out there for now. Um, but yeah. And, you know, um, I have so many different channels here that I'm live on right now. So there's my Facebook profile. There's my page, there's YouTube, there's Twitch. Someone's actually messaged me on Twitch, which is really awesome. Yeah, oh yeah, and they also said, well, don't forget Kingston has a military base. Well, yeah, but like, I don't know. My backyard is apparently, going back to the mortar, my backyard is landfill mostly. So there used to be, apparently, like 200 years ago, there used to be a creek that went down basically the street behind me, sort of thing. And what they decided was, oh, let's just fill it in with all this landfill. They filled in the creek and just leveled it all off. So I hope they then just been like, oh, look at all these mortars. Let's just toss it into the backyard. What is going on? Yeah. Oh, Barb's got a question. I just moved a bleeding heart, but I'm afraid I planted it too late. What do you think? No, no, no. So a lot of people get quite hung up on when to move things. But really, as long as you move them and plant them at the same depth and treat them really well for the first year, right? Giving them water every week, you should be good. Blooming is another question, though. So if you move them before they produce blooms, they may not produce blooms, or they may actually produce more blooms. It really depends on the plant, sort of thing, how it sees itself. But yeah, you shouldn't be okay. I've heard so many people get paranoid about moving peonies. And for peonies, you do have to make sure to plant them at the same level as they were before. And and some people are like, well, you need to make sure that you water them before you move them. Da 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 da. Well, um, tried and tested. Plant them at the same level that they were, and try to find a really good place for them, and keep watering them throughout the year until next year, and then you should be all good. But moving plants can affect flowering. Sometimes it could trigger them to go into flower earlier because they think that they're under stress. So that's one thing to think about. So Frankie from from Twitch here is saying there's 350 years of Kingston being a military base. people buried everywhere and all that kind of stuff. Well, okay, fine. I will really admit that. Actually, another neighbor dug out a bone. And yeah, they were concerned. They were concerned that that bone may be of the human two-footed variety, but it was quickly cleared up that it wasn't. And of course, welcome to old towns and stuff. I guess there was like some sort of pig farm or something around here 200 years ago. So anyway, I think that's what they ended up determining what it was. Scary. But yeah. So let's get in to something here. Hopefully this is gonna work. Let's try this. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Okay. So that worked. Upcoming events, sweeties. Upcoming events. I shouldn't be screaming directly into the microphone. We got stuff coming up. Guess what? It's Kingston Pride Month. Yay! Happy Pride Month. And that is official. I'm just going to say that is official. I have the certificate and everything. So let's go to outin.ca, which is your source of information, events going on here in Kingston of the gay variety, because, I tend to focus on that. So Breakfast with Tiffany, guess what? You're listening to it right now. Yay! So there's also CFRC Pandemic, which is at 1 p.m. So that's on CFRC 101.9 FM and on CFRC.ca. There's some repeats of that. Out to Adult on Sunday. So next week starts kind of like the Pride Week official sort of stuff. So that kind of starts. Let me just focus on the events though. CFRC again on the Monday, the 8th. Gender Talk on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. on June 9th. So June 13th, that's a Saturday, June 13th, at 11 o'clock, there will be the Parade of Pride Spaces. So, sweepies, I hope you've submitted some photos. So we are accepting photos, and when I say we, I mean like Kingston Pride are accepting photos of you and your Pride spaces. So decorate your front yards, decorate your doors on your house, maybe do some chalk kind of paintings or something like that on your sidewalks. Take a photo and send it in to us, and then we will put it into a lovely slideshow and broadcast that live on Saturday, June 13th at 11 a.m. So stay tuned for that. You can send your photos to dropevent.com/virtualpride. And you can even add some, captions and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really great. What else is happening? So the Parade of Spaces. Oh, that on Saturday, June 13th. That's also Seductively Saucy Storytime with Rowena Way. So that's for the adults. That is for the adults. She's going to be doing some story time. It'll be interesting. The Sunday, there is Out to Adult. Gender Talk is on the Tuesday, June the 16th. Out to Adults. I feel like there's more Pride stuff going on. Let's go to all the Pride. So Outin has created a separate page to highlight all the different kind of events that are happening. Yeah, it's missing. So on Friday, June 12th, so I'm going back in time, there is the food share, the virtual food share for the QTBIPOC, people of color. What was it? I can't. I'm terrible with acronyms. Someone will tell me. Uh, queer, trans, black? No. But where is indigenous in there? Black indigenous people go there? Is that how it goes? Anyway. Oh. So also on the Saturday, June 13th is Queer and Teen Prom. Anyone who is of a teenage sort of year, you can join that as well online, and they'll be playing music on CFRC 101.9 FM, take a request. So that'll be a fun kind of like party time. Seductively saucy. Oh, and also Pride Drive Bingo on Saturday, June 20th at 9 p.m. Rowena is going to be hosting that as well. And I just published as well, so it's not on out in yet, but it will be. There will be a online screening of what is it called? Keyboard Fantasies. So that's a Beverly Glenn Copeland documentary, and that's going to be on the 17th. And that is in conjunction. SPAF Skeleton Park Arts Fest is hosting that, and we are partaking. We're helping along because, yeah, it's fun. It's going to be fun. More details about that. So that's on kingstonpride.ca. So all the events about Kingston Pride are on kingstonpride.ca/events. But yeah, that's what's going on here in Kingston, sweet peas. Boom, 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 ba-doom. That little music, isn't it fun? So if you could feel free to send me a message and tell me how things went today. If you watched it on YouTube Live, I'm really just doing this mostly as an experiment because there may be a virtual Pride Parade. The Parade of Spaces that may be virtual, and this may be my way of trying to learn how to do it and do it well. We're going to do it well, do it well, do it well. Terrible karaoke. Oh, you know what? I didn't even mention. Just a recap. So we had Quarantine Love, which was an online drag show. I hosted it last Saturday. That was the 30th or the 31st of May. And yeah, it was a small crowd was watching, but it was lots of fun. I had a great old time. I tried to do some rebroadcasting of it on Instagram and stuff, but we'll have to do some rebroadcasting of it somehow, because we need to get the performers. So Rowena Way was our performer, as well as Violet Voss. So they have done really great work, and we need to show our appreciations for them by giving them some tips, because I do not, and tips, when I say tips, I mean cash monies on e-transfers, because I cannot pay them. I'm kind of restrained that way, but I'm able to get them out there, get them on the platforms, get you guys to be able to see them, and hopefully they can make a few little pennies, some coin. They can make some coin. But I'm going to be doing this again as well. So we'll do some other live events. I was trying to get some feedback from people. So if you want to quickly give some feedback as well, it seems like most people would prefer any kind of live drag show. Yeah, Jazz. I love email transfers. Exactly. E-transfers. Email transfers. Some people feel that 7 p.m., for instance, is a better, more appropriate time for drag shows. And I'm kind of leaning towards that, too, because I think a lot of people now actually go to bed early. They go to bed early now. So, or they're turning the social media off and just turning the TV on, at 9 o'clock. So 7 p.m. And then a lot of people talked about Tuesdays and Thursdays being good times, as well as Fridays. So I'm kind of leaning towards the Tuesdays and Thursdays, because Fridays tends to be RuPaul's Drag Race, And considering there's going to be RuPaul's Drag Race Canada and first All Stars and then Canada, I think that's all going to be happening on Friday nights. I don't necessarily, like, we're drag, it's all drag, but I can't compete with those performers. So if I have it live, it's not going to be during that same time. What can I say? What can I say? All right, sweet peas. It's 2 minutes after. It's 2 minutes after 12:30. So I gotta get going because this is my lunchtime. I gotta go eat something, and get the rest of the week going here. So sweet peas, I love you. If you have any gardening questions, feel free to send them to me at any time. If you have any kind of suggestions or anything like that, feel free to share them as well. But sweet peas, I'm doing a cancer fundraiser for Miss Horizon here in Ottawa. Oh, well, dear. Just send me. Is it this weekend? Send me some more details about that, sweet pea. If you can send it to me on Facebook, that would be helpful. But all right, sweet peas. I give you my love. You stay safe now, okay? As the drag queen hits the... There we go. Mwah.